Rock with Barney is really fantastic, kind of emotional, and not at all what I was expecting. This is the last of the Barney and the Backyard Gang episodes or specials, and I have to say it's a pretty great series. And based on the title, this isn't what I thought it would be, but I loved it. There are some nostalgic moments for me and some really great songs, but even just watching it now, I love to see how there are so many great messages in this and so many great performances as well. This was released in 1991, and the children are visiting a TV studio. And of course, Barney is there, and they interact with different sets and put on different performances, and I'll talk more about those in a moment. And there's a lovely bit of continuity as well, as they mentioned the concert that they just did, which was the previous Barney and the Backyard Gang. So I thought that was really sweet. And there was also one moment where I got a little emotional as well because of, well, the passage of time, but I'll talk about that in a moment. So I had actually thought that this would be about a rock concert or something similar, but actually that's not the case at all. It's actually about saving the planet, saving the earth, which I think is always a really lovely message. Not all of the songs tie into that theme, but they do keep coming back to it every now and then, which I think is very well done. And we have a great cast of characters. The children in this, well, the regular children we have Michael, Amy, Lucy, Tina, Adam, and Derek. I say regular because some other children are introduced, including one who goes on to become a Barney regular, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. We have a great variety of set designs. The cereal bowl in particular was very amusing, and some really fabulous songs. So I'll go through the songs just now and share some thoughts along the way. Some of the songs I don't have that many thoughts about. Some of them I definitely do. So they actually start with We Are Barney and the Backyard Gang, which they had previously performed at their concert, which was really delightful and a nice way to kick things off. And then they sing the song Help Protect the Earth, which helps to introduce the theme that keeps coming up every now and then. We also then have a song that I actually don't like, and I don't know why I don't like it, because the music is really good, but there's just something about it that irritates me, and this is Apples and Bananas. The song I don't like, but the performance was really great. They were interacting with this giant cereal bowl and giant box of cereal, and some of the kids were dressed up as apples and bananas, and some of them were operating cameras, and it was really, really great fun. We then have Down by the Bay, which is a pretty good song, and then the one where I got a little bit emotional, and that's Six Little Ducks. And this is something that I mentioned recently, that I revisited this in one of the Barney and Friends episodes, and the rush of nostalgia I got from that was incredible. And then they do a performance of it in, I think, the first Barney in the Backyard Gang, maybe the second, certainly very, very early on. And again, it was just so beautiful. And then what kind of choked me up a little bit here is that they say, well, they can't perform Six Little Ducks anymore because they're too tall now. They're not going to fit under the umbrellas. And it never really occurred to me just how grown up they'd become in such a short space of time that I actually paused it and went back and watched Six Little Ducks from the beginning of Barney and the Backyard Gang, and Tina especially. It's incredible, how much she's grown in a couple of years, and she was just so tiny, and it was just absolutely adorable. So then we have some new children who are performing Six Little Ducks, including Kathy, played by Lauren King. This is Kathy's introduction, and then she sings Me and My Teddy Bear, which goes on to become one of her iconic songs, which is absolutely adorable, and I rather liked that. We then have My Dear Country, and a personal favourite, Yankee Doodle Dandy, which is a brilliant, brilliant song from George M. Cohan, and it always just makes me smile so much. And the costumes for it, and the giant flag behind them, the set design was brilliant, the costumes were great, the song is fabulous. We then have Tingalayo, which is not a song I'm familiar with. We do have a donkey on set for this one. And also Barney wearing a hula skirt, which was not expected, and he looked fabulous. I also didn't realise, so I've never mentioned this, but I never registered that they got rid of the original Barney costume so that we then get the Barney that we go on to know with Barney and Friends. I didn't realise that had happened. So when I went back to watch the original Barney in the Backyard Gang, seeing the original Barney costume is just there's something so terrifying about it. I'm so pleased that they modified the costume to become the Barney that we all know and love. We then have a brilliant song called I Can Laugh, where we have the children all wearing white face paint and doing a lot of performances with their hands and their facial expressions. And I was really impressed with the performances there. It's not a song that I'd heard of before, I didn't recognize it, but I thought it was very well done. We then finish off with a couple of other songs, including The Frog on a Log, Good Manners, and Boom Boom, Ain't It Great to Be Crazy, none of which meant anything to me really, but certainly the performances were really enjoyable. This is absolutely not what I was expecting based purely on the title, and I have to say I absolutely adored it. Very nostalgic in some places, some really great performances, and Six Little Ducks just absolutely melted my heart. Kind of sad Barney in the Backyard Gang is over. As I've mentioned before, I don't remember ever having watched that as a child. Barney and Friends, absolutely, but I don't have any particular memories of Barney and the Backyard Gang. So I've really enjoyed discovering it for what I think is the first time, and I can absolutely see why it became very successful very quickly. And then, of course, it went on to become the wonderful Barney and Friends that has educated so many of us on so many different things. And I got a little bit emotional watching this. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. Definitely took me back to my childhood in some ways, and really enjoyed the performances as well. And Barney's multiple costume changes. Definitely a very, very strong way to finish Barney in the Backyard Gang.